The Dalai Lama's eating habits are nothing short of fascinating. From his approach to meat to the strict laws of Buddhism to the palace gardens which provide his favorite ingredients, these are the ins and outs of the Dalai Lama's meek but mighty diet. Is he vegetarian? The first assumption that's easy to make about the Dalai Lama's eating habits is that he's a vegetarian. It makes sense, right? One of the principal precepts of Buddhism, after all, is to abstain from killing. Different sects of Buddhism, however, interpret that law in different ways. And the Dalai Lama's strand does allow for meat to be eaten by its practitioners. When he fled to India in 1959, he adopted a lacto-avo vegetarian diet in accordance with the beliefs of many of the country's own Buddhists. Essentially, that means including milk and eggs in meals, but leaving out the meat. Unfortunately, after 20 months, his developing illnesses led to his doctor's recommendation he resume eating meat for health reasons. Today, it's difficult to come by meat in the vegetarian monasteries in South India where he spends most of his time. Still, he's said he usually eats meat once or twice a week, and he does eat meat dishes that are offered to him while he's on the road. Tibetan breakfast and lunch. The Dalai Lama's first meal of the day usually consists of porridge, bread, tea, and sampa, an important part of the Tibetan diet.
I learned some nutritionists say that samba is very good for health.
Sampa is a type of flour made from roasted barley, then usually mixed with tea and yak's milk. It's a crucial part of the Tibetan diet and cultural identity, and once his early meals are over, he's subject to some severe restrictions. According to monastic texts, Buddhist monks and nuns are prohibited from eating solid food after midday. Although it's a controversial view among Buddhist practitioners in many ways and for many reasons, it's one that the Dalai Lama certainly adheres to. He takes lunch at 11:30 a.m. and after that, eats nothing at all until the next morning. Homegrown vegetables and fresh bread. The Potala Palace in Lhasa was the Dalai Lama's home during his life in Tibet prior to the 1959 rebellion. Many types of traditional Buddhist and Tibetan breads were baked in the palace's kitchens, and there were also a number of greenhouses which provided fresh vegetables throughout the year. That meant the Dalai Lama had fresh veg for most meals, including cauliflower, bitter melon, spinach, tomatoes, and daikon. Although the Dalai Lama now lives in Dharamchala in India, it's likely that he still enjoys many of the same foods and dishes that he used to eat in Tibet. Oodles of noodles. According to one former member of the Dalai Lama's kitchen staff, His Holiness was, like many of his fellow Tibetans, a big fan of noodles. One of the dishes he enjoys regularly is tukpa, a vegetable and noodle soup which originated in eastern Tibet and northern Nepal. He's said to also be partial to momo and chapeli, similar dishes made of meat folded inside of a pastry. These traditional dumplings are frequently served up for His Holiness, and considering his schedule, they're likely lunch dishes. Mare's milk. It probably comes as no surprise to find that the Dalai Lama doesn't drink alcohol. His aversion to alcohol doesn't just stop with himself, however. In 2017, he told John Oliver that he managed to cure the entire nation of Mongolia of alcoholism in the 90s by encouraging them to drink something completely different.
Wait, hold on.
Horse milk.
Wait, you tried to wean them off vodka by giving them horse milk?
Oh yes, they follow.
For the Dalai Lama, though, it's a clear case of simple abstinence, whether we're talking vodka or fermented mare's milk. Yak tea. Although the Dalai Lama is unable to eat after midday, liquids are not off limits for the rest of the day. Around 5 p.m. every day, he sits down for evening tea. Like many Eastern Asian countries, tea is a pretty big part of Tibetan life, and one specialty the country enjoys is yak butter tea. It's made by brewing dark tea with salt before adding yak butter and milk. The finished product is creamy, fatty, and nutty, and it's likely one of the types of tea that the Dalai Lama will enjoy in the evening. After tea, His Holiness spends a couple of hours praying and meditating before retiring to his quarters to get some sleep. Then he wakes up a few hours later to do the whole thing again.